All right. My name is Ryan Steinelson, and I am super excited to have Kim Garst with me today. I help businesses, brands, and business owners get more customers using live stream, and I also have a digital marketing agency here in downtown San Diego, and I also do what's called social proof marketing as kind of a foundation for all of the customers that we work with, and that's part of the reason why I wanted Kim to come on today, because I know that, and everybody else knows out there, that she's been doing this social media thing for a while, and it's more than anything but a thing. I mean, she is taking it to a whole new level, and I really wanted to have a conversation with somebody on her level that's been around and understands how this concept of social proof marketing can tie into social media. So with that, I'll let you, I know that, everybody knows Kim from her social boom meetings or how many people came this year, by the way, to social?
We had almost 2.5 times the number of people we had last year. So we ended up with about 326 or so. Which was a fabulous crowd, not too big, but not too small. Still lots of folks, lots of networking, which was really a lot of fun. And of course, those of you who don't know me, my name is Kim Garst, very similar in some respects to what Ryan does. I kind of focus on the selling piece of social, though. I help business owners create more sales using the power of social and digital media. Really focused in on more of the small business owner, because even though we do work with big brands, I feel like I could help the small business owner more than the big brands. They just are dragging their feet. They, as you know, Ryan,
yes,
it's so frustrating to try to get results for them, because sometimes they don't embrace what's new and active and will absolutely drive their business. And so I love small business owners who, I can give them a few quick tips and away they go, so it's fun. I love that.
I just wanted to have this free flow, because ultimately, I think those are the best interviews, and I think people can tell when they're canned questions, and you just brought something up there. I've got some questions pre-prepared if need be, but I think this is going to be I've got so many things to talk to you about that this is going to just naturally flow. And so you brought up something really interesting is this concept of helping local business owners that get it. And a lot of times, especially with live stream, in your course, you've got a course, Scope for Biz, and how is that going? Because ultimately, I know that it's challenging to get the brick and mortar companies especially the mom and pops, to really embrace this concept of live stream. You want me to use this thing for what? To put it in front of me and to you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how are you getting those people to make that leap of faith?
Well, the course itself has gone very well. I think we're almost at 1,000 sales so far. People who've purchased the course, and whether or not they're consuming the course and actually doing something with the course, that's yet to be determined. But I share my passion for it, because I've seen such a big difference in my business, and not only my business, but other people. You have seen it as well. We saw and met people at at the Periscope Summit that didn't have large social footprints before Periscope or live streaming, even Blab. We're talking live streaming as a whole. And yet they have been able to enter the live streaming world and, develop amazing communities. And it has shifted their business in ways that, they just couldn't have done using traditional social media. So that's exciting for me, to not only, so a lot of people will say, well, Kim, you already had an established social footprint, so it was easy for you to make that transition. Getting in front of a camera every day was not easy for me. It's not a natural progression for me to do that. It was actually kind of a tough road. But when I saw that I was making a difference and, able to actually impact people in real time and get real time feedback, that's what got me over the hump every day. It's like, okay, wow, I can make a difference and I can see it immediately. I can see that impact. So I share that, with that message, and I think it inspires people to feel like that they can do it in their businesses as well. And they absolutely can. They just have to do what I did and get over that fear factor and put themselves out there every day, or, as often as they possibly can.
Absolutely. And that's part of the challenge, isn't it? Is really getting somebody to wrap their head around, okay, so I'm an attorney. Like, I'm going to be talking to Mitch and I'm going to be talking to Joe, Sapochnik later today about how they're getting one new client every single time they live stream.
I know,
and,
right?
I mean, so I'm just saying, I mean, if an attorney can do it, and they're doing it just by, and I'll put my gadgets on here. I've got my Olo clips and they don't, but here's the thing. You don't even have to do that. And it's just a matter of, and now I'm holding it landscape. You can do it landscape now on Periscope, which is awesome. We all love that to be able to upload it that way. And that's really the big benefit, isn't it? If they just do that and they talk about what they know and are passionate about, then we can take it and really give them the training on how to repurpose that video so that it lives out there longer than 24 hours on Periscope or longer than whatever, and give them a landing page where they can send people to, like we've got on Blab and now on Periscope, which, blab.im/Ryan Steinolfson and Kim Garst. These are just these platforms are so powerful for so many reasons. And you and I know this because we've been in this industry for so long. Sometimes it does take a little while to get people over the hump. But just switching gears a little bit here, because, the title that I gave this was intentional. I really want to talk about something that's been very near and dear to my online marketing heart for the 5 years since I've started, which is what I refer to as social proof marketing. And although otherwise known as, and it's kind of got a bad name, kind of like SEO does, it's reputation management, reputation marketing, it's kind of like you don't really talk about it in social circles. You're like,
right. Cause it's like, if you need reputation management, do you have a bad reputation? Right. So
right.
Yeah, that's the connotation, correct?
Well, it is, but it's more than that, because there's a lot of reputation management companies. And I just witnessed this in a customer that I just gave, or a potential client that we're going to be giving an estimate to. And there's a lot of reputation management companies prey on these companies that have a ripoff report at the top of Google for their business name or their individual name. It's like, that's the stereotypical situation. And it was exactly that we just experienced. And It was not only for the business owner, it was for I'm not even for the business name, it was for the business owner's name. So it's like, and literally in the top left-hand corner, it was the word stolen associated with his name as the top link on the rip. I mean, it was just like, so and a lot of times those people can fall prey to a reputation management company and with all these promises. And so how do you see social, because, and let me just dissect this a little bit further. That's one component of reputation management. The other component, as you know, is the side where it's like where we're getting reviews on the directories, like Yelp, like Facebook. And that's where the tie-in is with you. And I just wanted to kind of play with that a little bit because, Facebook is a directory, meaning businesses can actually set up shop there on Facebook. And if they do, they get more phone calls. It's really simple. If a business also sets up a Google My Business page and they start getting reviews there, they can get more phone calls. And so the reason why I was interested in bringing you into this conversation is because I wanted to see, now that you've got these strictly in the past social media platforms like Facebook and other platforms, now getting into the directory game and the review game, what are your thoughts on that? How do you see that playing into what you do and how you're helping companies?
Well, right, I think across the board, any social platform that you have a presence on obviously is Googleable.
Yeah.
Is that a word?
Yes.
Googleable. I don't even know.
Yeah.
So, people go to the Google machine and they're going to check you out. So for me, I check them all out. I'm not, I'm just, like, for example, if I am going to complain about a business, my first stop, and I do it very intentionally. In other words, I try my hardest to resolve the problem before I go public and, bash somebody.
Right.
But my first stop is Twitter. So knowing my habits, and then of course I know a lot of other people do this as well, before I go leave a review on Yelp or some of the others, I'm on Twitter or Facebook if they've got a fan page and trying to connect and see if they're listening there. It's amazing how many businesses don't listen to their social platforms, and they feel like for some reason that those directories that you reference hold more damage or more impact, or have the potential to impact them from a negative standpoint than they do the social presences, traditional social presences like Facebook, their Facebook fan page, or even their Twitter profile. And in my opinion, that's just not the case, because you don't know who's going to see and who's going to be checking out your social profiles. So just a quick example on exactly this thing. My son last year, I guess it's been 2 years ago. It was his first year in college, and he went to get his oil changed. Never had the oil changed in his car before. We always, took care of that as parents. And so he was off to school and had to do his own thing. And he texted me and he says, "Mom, should an oil change cost $169?" And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, no, it should not cost $169. What did you get? There must have been gold in that oil. So he's like, yeah, they charged me $169. So I picked up the phone. I called him. It was a Jiffy Lube. I mean, who doesn't know Jiffy Lube? It's not like it's not a brand. He went to a reputable, one would think, local place. And, they were very rude to me. And so, my thought was, well, gosh, they're just taking advantage of the local college kids, that don't know any better. And I still believe that to be true.
Yeah.
So I reached out on Twitter and said, what's the deal? And I got to looking, and lo and behold, there were tons and tons of complaints on Twitter about Jiffy Lube. And not just the local one that my son went to, all kinds of them. And no answer, no response. I, to this day, will not go and frequent a Jiffy Lube. That did it for me. Yep. Not only did, for me, it was an entry point into the fact that they weren't paying attention and, they weren't addressing customers' service issues, but it wasn't an isolated incident. It was something that, obviously was a rampant problem for them.
Yes.
So I think that brands need to, and business owners, whether you're small or you're a brick and mortar, or whether, you're a bigger brand, you need to be paying attention to all social channels. A lot of times, in your space in particular, Ryan, you can impact those, the traditional directory things. Those are types of things that you can work towards fixing, but social things are hard. On your fan page, you can delete, but you can't on Twitter.
Yep. Yes.
So all of that stuff, I think, across the board is, to your point, is social proof. It's either positive or it's negative. Yep. And in my opinion, those negatives are, I think, shining examples or golden opportunities. Yes. A business either steps into the golden opportunity and, uses it as a way to shine, or they don't. And most, unfortunately, don't.
Yes.
Which is kind of stinky.
Yes. And so what you're saying, and you brought up another point, really a third form of reputation or social proof marketing. And we refer to it as social proof marketing because we own socialproofmarketing.com, which is kind of cool. But so I paid a lot of money for that domain. I haven't used it yet. I haven't set anything up on it, but we're gonna. But if
you paid good money for it, you better be using it.
Oh my gosh, I paid $3,000 for that thing. So I better. Yeah, I know. Kim just duded me. Okay, all right. So here's the cool thing is that you're talking about a totally different type of reputation management or social proof marketing, because ultimately it's the individual as well. And that's the tie-in to social, right? Is that is that it's not just the brick and mortar with the directories. It's the, it's the individual as well. I mean, the individual needs, and what's really cool, check this out. So if you go to Google right now, and you guys can all open up another tab and go to Google and type in and Google Ryan Steinolfson. Okay. So let's just do a little social proof. Okay. So type in Ryan Steinolfson and check what just came up. This is really cool. In Google is featuring live Twitter feeds information now. Mm-hmm. So the third link down is the image that I posted there of our blab that we're doing today. So and I'll bet you, Kim, really soon, they're going to be showing live streams for the individual. Guaranteed. It's going to happen.
My prediction is that live streaming has totally changed the face of social, and most people aren't catching on yet. I think that those of us who are here on Blab or on Periscope or Meerkat or whatever, I mean, what will it be in 3 months even? It's moving so rapidly that the way people, the psychology of it's what was really intriguing to me. And I'm always fascinated by the shifts in how people buy. And live streaming has absolutely changed the way people engage with content, engage with people. And it is put the buy process, again, in my opinion, on a super accelerated path. Yep. And so for me, that's just really intriguing. I step back from it and I look at the way I purchase things. I don't have a lot of time. I don't want to be like reading long sales pages or, listening to a video that's going to take me 30 minutes to figure out, if it's something I want or not. Just tell me what's in it for me and how I can buy it. Does it solve my pain point? And I think that's one of the reasons that live streaming is a great way, one, to deliver content. And let people get to know you, like you. And then I think the buy process is going to be totally shifted moving forward. So it's really intriguing to see the how fast it's moving, and then to watch so many people stand on the sidelines and not get involved. I am not quite sure what's up with that, but for those of us who are out there every day, I think we're ahead of the curve, frankly. And there's going to be people who are going to be trying to catch up when they realize at some point that this is kind of the wave. It is going to be, it's shifted the way we engage socially, which I think is fascinating.
It is, and let me look, when you see the data the data that Alex Pettit showed at the Periscope summit that we saw, 15 million users now using Periscope, and it took only 6 months for them to get to that point. Instagram, Facebook took them 1 to 2 years to get to that number in terms of the number of users. So and I put a link by the way in the chat, so you guys don't even have to go and Google it. You can just click that link and you can see what's coming up in the third spot right there when you actually click that Google link, that Google search, and you'll see that you've got the Twitter feed. The next thing, and that's social proof marketing, because ultimately people are seeing the social proof of, me creating content, being an authority, being on Blab. And we generated that because we created the image earlier. And what I'm saying is that you can do that as a business as well. I mean, when you're creating this kind of content, all we did is just do an image, of the actual meeting, just to announce it. And then we posted it on Instagram. We posted it on Twitter. And by the way, I would also just take a really quick opportunity here to say, look, guys, it makes sense. It makes sense, guys, to go to each one of those. And I think you agree with me, take the time to go to each one of those social media platforms and post them separately and tag people in those tweets, in those Instagram, tag people and to engage as well, because when you engage, just like when we engage here in Blab, or we engage and watch other people on Periscope and comment on other people's scopes, I mean, that engagement is what makes the live stream world go around, and Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, they pay attention when you actually go natively to their app and you make the post natively, as opposed to going to Instagram and then also sending it out to Twitter and Facebook and all the other places you can do from Instagram. You won't get as much reach that way. So just Just another tip. But if now, and how else can you see us affecting, our social presence, our social proof presence on social media? I'll let you answer, and then I'll give you some things that I've kind of come up with that I think are interesting.
So repeat that question. I got it right.
So if I'm trying to improve my social proof presence, my reputation online, how would I do that? What do you think are some good ways to do that using social media?
Anytime you encounter negative comments, that, in my opinion, is an opportunity to shine. Instead of, groaning and saying, oh my gosh, somebody said something negative about my business or my product or my service. If you've screwed up in some way, then just own that and say, and bend over backwards to fix it. Because there is a lot to be said, and there is a ton to be said as it relates to that old saying, the customer is always right on social media in particular, because the impact is so much more, is so much deeper than if you're, that's one of the things, traditionally, and how we've gotten away from, customer service, in my opinion. If you go back, 30, 40 years, 50 years ago, when everybody was kind of small town, and, if your local butcher served up a bad cut of meat, everybody was going to know about it, and you didn't frequent that butcher anymore. And then we kind of went big box, and, if somebody said something negative about your experience at Walmart, for example, you're just going to tell who? Your neighbor, your family, and how much impact is that going to have, right?
Right.
So now we've circled back around to where, we're not necessarily in small towns, but our voice matters, and what we say matters.
Yep.
And as consumers, we have to be careful about that. We don't want to abuse it, but it is our right. And people, and consumers know it. They know they have a voice and that they can use it. So that said, we have to be cognizant of that. Our customer service should be at the forefront of everything we do. And when you do encounter that negative environment, to where somebody's had a negative experience with your brand or your company or your business, then you have to leverage that as an opportunity to turn them into a raving customer by bending over backwards to fix the problem.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you're going to just be, handling the fallout of whatever that negativity was, or you're trying to cover it up, shove it under the rug, and hope nobody sees it. And that never works.
Yes.
So, it's some of that stuff lives forever, and it's hard to cover, correct? I mean, you would agree with that, Ryan. So instead of being that person who's like, oh my gosh, somebody said something negative, let me delete that, give it try to use it as an opportunity. And if you do that, then even if you don't ultimately end up pleasing that person, guess what happens? Real people with real understanding come back behind that and say, well, that person really did try. They tried to fix it. That person was just being a butt, and so there are people you just can't please. You can't fix the issue. But because you handled it transparently and openly, and you try to do the right thing, then people pay attention to that. Real people that, are, understand that, absolutely will give you a buy on that, simply because you've been over backwards to try to fix it. Yeah. People don't care if you screw up nearly as much as if you don't fix it.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And that's really what we consult when we consult with our customers. And one thing that we do is we teach our customers, we help them build their culture, because that is the most important thing. I can't stress this enough. I mean, of all the tools that we have, all the systems that we have in place, we've got a feedback page where we send people to in order to leave a review. And then don't tell anybody, but if it's a 3, 2, or 1 star, they don't get the chance to leave it on Google or Yelp or anywhere else. And then it goes directly to the owner. If it's a 4 or 5 star, then they get a chance to leave it on Google or Facebook or anywhere else that we want it to go to. So don't tell anybody else that that's the way. But I'll be honest.
Just game in the system.
we're a reputation company, so we're doing our best to make sure that And here's the reason why, because to your point, and Mitch just joined, really cool. So what's really cool is that, to your point, you've got to address when somebody has a challenge with your company and head on. And so we would like to do that privately if we can. If not, then we do it publicly, and we're very careful, and we consult with our customers on how to proceed. It's kind of like diffusing a bomb. You don't want to unclick the wrong thing, because the whole thing, and you don't want to make it public because you're writing a story. You might not know it social media wise. Everybody's writing a story, and really what you're in control of the story that you're writing. And if you involve somebody into a back and forth communication, the story's not going to be pretty. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I think, that's one of the reasons that I'm really interested to see who ultimately takes this on in a public way. So what I mean by that is, what brand out there, what business owner is okay with opening up themselves in public like this, where they actually address customer concerns, customer care issues in a public way, where the consumer actually gets to talk to somebody at the company. And in my opinion, that would be a huge know, like, and trust factor for brands or businesses, any type of business. I know Hootsuite has leveraged Periscope in this way, and a little, they have open Q&As where they answer questions and things of that nature. But even if you did what Ford did, out the gate with Google Hangouts, for example, where they, had Hangouts, and, it'll invite, consumers in to get their feedback, et cetera. I mean, how amazing would that be? So I'm just waiting for, some of the brands and some of the businesses to embrace the live streaming opportunity, because I think it is an opportunity to show up. But I think they're scared. I think they don't know exactly what happens, because, like, real time is real time, right? It's like when we drop our phone, or, we have no sound, it's one of those unknowns that I think they're scared of.
It is. And I kind of miss, but what I'm saying, and I want to, kind of step back and edit what I said there, because ultimately what I mean is if that conversation is not had correctly, if it, like, as if you're diffusing a bomb, and if I had somebody, by the way, that was doing it in this forum, they would be trained, like good, like solid, like there would be a ninja training for them on how to communicate, and in order to help because really the person, a lot of times we found, just wants to be heard. Yeah. And so and even in the written copy communication that you have with people via a review response on Google My Biz, or on Facebook, or wherever you're doing it. This is our backyard. This is where we play. We get this stuff. We live, eat, and breathe this stuff. I mean, Dimitri right here, like, he's answering.
Hi, Dimitri.
Kim says hi. So basically, like, it's just we have a template of responses that we give, that we suggest that our customers give in response to somebody that's hostile, or when they've left a 1, 2, or 3-star review, in order to make sure the person feels heard. And it's something to the extent of, hey, you know what? We hear you. We hear the challenge that you have, and we invite you to DM us directly. And because let's make no mistake about it, it's real business we're talking about. There's a Harvard study that was done in 2012 that was a Yelp study for restaurants. And they looked at about, I forget the number, but it was a lot of restaurants. And they found that if you just increased your star rating, and we're just talking about the brick and mortar business now, increase your star rating by basically just 1 star, it corresponded to a 10% increase in gross revenues. No additional marketing, no nothing else, 10% bottom line additional gross revenues. And so this is real stuff, guys. And this is what Kim brings to the table, is that social media conversation where somebody engages with you, which is a little different than somebody reviewing you formally in a directory by formally leaving a review on Yelp or Google My Business or Yahoo or Bing or Manta or any of those directories. There's hundreds of them out there. There's local ones, there's regional, there's national, there's worldwide, and there's some that are specific for niches. Mitch is an attorney. AVVO is huge for his niche, and every niche has got their own. you need on a business level, I would start there. On an individual level, and for your business, it's trolling the social media world in order to see if people are saying anything negative, and then addressing that information and potentially addressing it head on like this. I think in a forum like this is the opportunity. Some business is gonna take that on, and they're gonna get recognition. They're gonna get publicity, like we saw in the beginning of live stream, where businesses started taking on live streaming, and by doing it is different. And that will give them media as well. And as long as it's done correctly, they got to be very careful. But I think there's a huge opportunity, just like we saw with Hootsuite, where, when they allowed their employees to take over their live stream account, and they showed behind the scenes. I mean, it was like initially, like their human resources was just inundated with people that saw the culture,
Yes.
And it was really, really cool. So
that's the key, is people really don't want to do business with logos necessarily. They want to see who the people are. They want to see, they want to connect with the people. Even when we were doing management for businesses and brands, almost always people would ask, what's your name? Who am I speaking to? It wasn't about, the big brand name. They wanted to know who the person was. So the opportunity, I think, for live streaming from a customer service or customer care standpoint is, immense for any business. I think so many businesses get wrapped up in, being careful that they ultimately don't do anything. They're so afraid of, the backlash. And I'm not trying to, brush over that. I know that it's an issue, but yet they get so wrapped up in kind of the red tape of it, the legalese, and Mitch could speak to this, I'm sure. But so many times they're paralyzed by their own crud, and they don't get anything done. So, I think that's one of my biggest holdups with working with brands is, the constant, and I get the legal side. I totally understand that they have to worry about that, but it's almost like they're paralyzed and no decisions are ever made. And it's frustrating to see that happen. And it's frustrating to see them lose out on so much opportunity to really serve a community of people who've been buying their products for years.
Yep.
And, like you take a Tide, for example. I've bought Tide for years because my mom bought Tide, and you could take that back even further. Probably her mom bought Tide. So, it's just one of those things that, a lot of these big brands, small brands, even, brick and mortar businesses or solopreneurs, it's an opportunity to show up and connect with a community in real time. Reviews are extremely powerful. Going back to your study example, think about how we buy, guys. We go over to Amazon, we Google, or search for whatever we want to buy, and we look at those reviews. We don't know those people, right? Most of the time, I can't say I've ever looked at a review and said, "Ooh, I know that person." They're my neighbor. It
Right.
doesn't happen. But yet they're real people to us, and we absolutely pay attention to those reviews. Same with Yelp, right? We review a restaurant or wherever we want to go, and those reviews hold value to us. So, I don't understand why businesses are so reluctant to really step up and over deliver in a way that brings builds a better customer experience. Surely there's got to be a way to cover themselves legally and still, show up and do the right thing. Maybe I'm being oversimplistic, but
no,
I think that there is.
Well, and we could bring, Mitch in. I know that Sharon wanted to jump in, and also we had Angelica. I want to bring somebody in a second here, but I want to bring people in here in a little bit. How long do you have to go here? You have about 15, 20 more minutes, or what do you think?
Yeah, I allotted an an hour, so I did.
Good.
If that's good, I'm good.
Awesome. It's all about keeping share. Yes, and so we got some really so. The reviews are important, and this is really interesting, and a lot of people don't know this, and I talked about this on a blab before, because people I'm known as the gadget guy and all this stuff, but some people don't know that this is what we start with is reputation in terms of getting more reviews. And this is what's really interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of business owners on here right now. And I hope that you guys that are watching this will take heed. First and foremost, what I would do is go and claim your Google My Business page. And the other thing is, and here's the reason why, is, and this is one thing that I constantly am surprised, and people always get surprised by, is where is the first place that people go when they go and they type in your business name in your city? Everybody says unanimously, they say they think they go to your website, and it's not.
They go to the Google machine.
They go to the Google machine, and they specifically go and look at your reviews. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And you're right. And they'll go and they'll type in the business name and the city, and then whatever comes up there, when you type in, and do it right now, guys, type in your business name and your city and see what comes up there. What will come up is your reputation. Make no mistake about it. It'll be Google, it'll be Facebook, it'll be Manta, it'll be Avo, it'll be all the directories that therein lies. You will see your reputation front and center. You'll see, and
your social platforms will be there.
Exactly. You'll have Twitter there, and that's what people are seeing, and that's what people are using to make a determination if they're going to move forward with you. 90% of people that are referred to you go online first. They go right. 50% of those 90% go to their smartphone. The other 50% go to their desktop or their laptop or their tablet. And that's
your new business card.
Exactly. That's how decisions are being made. And that's why I'm talking about this and the tie-in between reputation or social proof marketing and social media, because one, social media really has more to do with the individual. And so, but the lines are being blurred, because social proof marketing and otherwise known as reputation marketing and management has to do more with the directories. But now there's more and more directories that are actual social media sites like Facebook and other sites. And so that's where it starts to get interesting. And so you've got to, Google your name, see what comes up. You can affect it. You can actually do things about it. And you can make a difference in terms of what people are seeing, because that's how people are making decisions. And you can do things like, asking for reviews. Sometimes it's just as simple as, if you're a business owner, saying, hey, you know what, how was your experience today on a scale of 1 to 5? If they say 4 or 5, then you say, great, you know what? We really appreciate, we only get our next customer based on how we treat our current customer. And it would mean the world to us. And you know what? If you mentioned my name, Ryan, it would mean that my boss would just be ecstatic if he knew that I was at. Then
maybe you even bribe them.
Yeah. Well, and you bring up a good point. You bring up a really.
Maybe you even say, because people, and it's one of those things. It's time sensitive, guys. We don't have time for stuff today. Yeah. So how do you incentivize people to actually give you a review? Maybe it's as simple as, like you say, you're at a restaurant and the server says, hey, I would really appreciate this. This is going to really help me. But you know what? I have been authorized to give you, if you go give us a review while you're sitting here on your phone, I'll give you a 20% off coupon the next time you come in. I mean, that's a great way to incentivize and, get it done right there while they're sitting there and they feel positive in the experience, versus letting them leave and they probably ultimately don't take the time to do it. So, hey, Jen.
Yeah, and we got Sharon on, we got Jed on, the Jedi. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Ryan? I love when you tell business owners how important this is, Ryan. I've seen a couple other blabs where you've done this. I've seen you on Periscope doing the same thing. It's so important. And I was just about to ask Kim, how do you wrap this into your social strategy? Because one of the problems I see with business owners and small businesses is who does this task get assigned to? Because it's very hard for business owners to kind of delegate I've got someone doing my website, I've got someone doing my social, and now you're telling me I've got to do ratings. Doesn't that come with my SEO guy that I'm hiring? And it seems like they're all over the place. And so I was going to ask Kim how you wrap this into a social strategy, and she just laid it out. So my question has been answered.
Actually, what I just said is actually a sales strategy too, guys, because if somebody is physically in your place of business and you're offering them an incentive to do X, Y, in this case, we're leveraging the power of a positive review. You're hoping, obviously, that you're going to get a positive review. And you're also, by virtue of giving them a discount, you're pretty much guaranteed if they had a positive experience and you've given them a good customer experience experience, that they're going to come back because they're going to get 20% off. So it's actually a sales strategy as well.
It totally is. And I want to add one more thing really quick, guys, because this is, this is right up my alley. And we coach and train and build cultures around this every single day with my team. And I want to give you guys a really good nugget here. And Mitch just made a really great point here. Also a discount for a family member or neighbor to get a blood. Yeah.
Love that.
And by the way, immediately after we conclude, a case sent out a survey regarding feedback and testimonial, also offer convenient online form. Bottom line is you got to make it easy for people to review you guys. Now I want to add to that. Okay. Now be careful, because the TOSs, otherwise known as the terms of service, for Google and Google My Business, and also for Yelp, say that you're not supposed to incentivize people to leave a review directly. Now, what I will say, and this is part of the culture building. I know. Kim suggested it, not me. But here's what.
That's not a good strategy. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I know. No, but here's what's really cool, guys. Now you can do that on the TOSs are different for every. I just want to make that clear. I want to make sure that you guys get that. Okay. So you just look at the TOSs for every AVVO is different from Manta, from Google My Business, from Facebook. Here's what you can do, and this is part of the culture building: is take your staff, and we hand out a review. We call it our review handout. It's a PDF, 1-page PDF that is just a really quick, within 1 minute or less, somebody can leave a review by just getting this PDF. Okay, simple handout from the front of the dentist office or the attorney office, or I would have one for each of your top directories that you're working on. And what I would do is I would have your staff meeting like we do. We do this, right, Dimitri? Don't we? Yes. Okay. He said yes, just so you know. So basically, bottom line, guys, is we build our culture. They get paid dollars, and it's how much you get paid? How much am I paying you? $30. All right, $30. So it's $30 every review. And they remind me, Dimitri he tasked me, he's like, Ryan, we got a review, check it out. They mentioned my name. And by the way, the strategic ninja concept there of you saying, hey, would you mention me in the review? They feel personally attached to leaving you a review. They're never going to say no to that, ever. And my success rate of asking for a review in that way, when I do the 1 to 5 game, is literally I'll get a review. And people give me this pushback all the time. Well, not everybody has the Google Maps app on their phone, which, by the way, is how people leave a review for you on Google. And people don't know this. Yeah. If you ask 10 people, 9.9% of those people, 9.9 out of 10 people, will not even know how to leave a Google review for a business. Mm-hmm. And so it's through the Google Maps app. And the other amazing thing that blows people's minds is that literally, in order to be able to go to any business, how many people just raise your hands if you use Google Maps in order to go and find out how to get to places, or the iPhone Maps app? I think we all do, right?
iPhone, yeah.
Right. So guess what shows up when you look up any business in the world right now? Your Google My Business reviews on the Google Maps app, and on the iPhone Maps app, it's your Yelp reviews before somebody even before they even knock on your door. So so this is like, make no mistake about it, guys.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So this is what we do every day. And so if you do that, I mean, we've got customers. And by the way, here's another just unbelievable, mind-blowing concept, Kim, is that we've mapped this out now, and we've done this for long enough now. We know that about 10% of a business's ability to be able to rank on the maps is made up by their ability to get reviews. Mm-hmm. So let me just translate that. You will rank higher on the maps the more reviews you get. And if that doesn't motivate you, then I don't know what will, because bottom line is you'll get more phone calls the more reviews you'll get. I can't draw any better,
you can't say it any clearer than that, right?
Yeah.
To go back to what you were saying, I think that business owners need to empower their employees also, right? I mean, I don't know if you guys read, I think it was Peter Shankman's book, and I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but it was all about customer service, and some of the examples that he referenced were things like, letting your employees choose to give a 10% discount to somebody who walks in the door because they have a great smile, or, whatever. It's your whatever discount. count. I mean, every business owner, of course, has to choose that, that opportunity. But those are opportunities to surprise and elevate customers. And when you do things like that, they're way more likely to leave a positive review for you, because they're going to be stunned that you did something extra to give them a better customer experience, or to show, to pull them out of a crowd and say, here's a special something for you, whatever it is. So empowering your employees to basically love up your customers will be one of the best things and best investments you could possibly make in your business. It will absolutely drive more reviews, because people are going to be so stunned. It's like, we used to love getting email, right? And now we hate getting email. And now we used to hate getting mail, and now we love getting real mail, because nobody gets real mail anymore. So it's exactly the same thing. How can you show up and over deliver in unique value proposition ways that don't cost your business a ton of money? And the back end value proposition for you could be immense, because like Ryan said, the more reviews you have, the higher you get in the map. I mean, all that. People trust other people's reviews. It's important. So that's such a great way to, again, over deliver and drive reviews, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I just think it's just so important, because here's what happens. And I'll just give you a case study. Okay. Which, by the way, is the best lead magnet, is a case study. And this from digital. Kim, by the way, your digital marketer blog post, man, that was awesome. The Periscope. I love that. So that was really cool. I have to give you a shout out for that. So really, because those guys need to be educated on this. They're you know what I'm saying?
They have, it's so funny, because I've shared this with you, I've been trying to learn the whole digital side of the house, because I felt like, I knew the social side. Now, how do I monetize the social side? Yeah. So I've really been digging into that over the past year, a little bit more than a year. And so, traditional digital marketing is cold traffic, so they're trying to, of course, figure out what we're doing over here on the social side. So it's really intriguing to see both sides of the house and how different they are, and how they've traditionally done business. And yet they are so intricately linked that it's like, come on, guys, we got to marry these two.
Well, I just made the transition about 6 months ago at exactly the right time, I think, because I've been living in that digital marketing world, as you know, for the previous, however, 10 years, 15 years. And we're a digital marketer certified agency. So we're Ryan Dice certified. I mean, I've drank the Kool-Aid and all that stuff. And I mean, it's real though. I mean, look, the guy, like, I listen to a guy that's got 5 websites that are making over like, 200, 300, 400,000, $1 million a year. Like that's the guy I'm going to listen to.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Ridiculous, right?
Because like he's doing it. He's not just talking about it. Like he's living it. And so if he tells me the lead magnets is the way to do it, and then a tripwire, and then a core offer, and that's a CVO process, I'm going to be like, okay, dude, I got it. I'm following it, because, and I
by the way, it works, because
it does. It does. And so another really quick tip, it's like, I can't, I've got to give tips, but here, this is really cool, because ultimately I have learned, because I've implemented this stuff and I've married the two together. And I've used a lot of the strategies from the digital side, and that's what's so beautiful when they come together. Just like social media, and reputation come together, like they're blending together now, and digital and social media now with live stream and the transition. When you put those together, and you put together a solid landing page, with an easy opt-in and a great offer, a great lead magnet, whatever you want to call it. We don't like to refer to the second step as a tripwire, because it's like, I don't want to think of, we call it a trust trigger. But basically, when you blend those things together, and like you said earlier, Kim, and you just mention them in your live stream, as opposed to hard sell, it's just like, no, it's like, no, you just mention it. It just comes across as just natural. It's a flow. And those guys, and that's the thing that it's blowing their minds, Kim. They're like, wait, all you're doing is you're just mentioning it, and you're getting those kind of conversions. And It's like, and they're like,
it's the gasoline. It's really the combustion piece. Social media is the combustion to a digital marketing funnel. Conversions on social, because you built the know, like, and trust factor. It's not like you're going to cold traffic. it is through the roof. I mean, it's double what cold traffic will produce, sometimes more than that. So it's the, it's literally the fuel that is going to, propel your social selling engine to a place where, you're actually creating income from that social presence that you've built. It's really intriguing to see the differences, because you'll see the digital side and they have pretty standard, conversion rates that are tried and true. I mean, they've tested the daylights out of them. And then, you layer on the other side of the house, which is the social side for us. And we're looking at our conversions and we're thinking, well, shouldn't our conversions be about what theirs are? And yet we are seeing, 2-3 times the conversion rates that they are, simply because, again, it's not the same. It doesn't come across as, you don't have to send out 3 email chains and, all the other, massive things that, traditional digital does. I mean, I'm not saying you don't do those things. I'm just saying they're not as necessary sometimes, because people are making that decision much quicker because they have that know, like, and trust factor in you. Whereas you're not just some, random person that lands in their email box or even in their Facebook feed, for example. So it's really intriguing to me that, the social is, in my estimation, and of course I'm a little biased, but it is absolutely the rocket fuel, in my opinion, for, true sales. And then, of course, you have to have the funnel piece. You have to have the digital piece to actually put it all together.
So you totally
you have to have the funnel to capture those amplified leads. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we just have to marry those two and put a ring on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. All right. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just like, I jumped in on this because of what you were talking about when I entered, and just you guys were talking about, Kim, you mentioned the incentive type thing. Well, I've always taught, don't do the incentive. I like to say it's how you present could you review me? And that is, hey, if you like what you have today, could you give me an all 5 review? You know what I mean?
In other words, ask for what you want. Don't leave it to them to deliver.
That's right.
Yeah, I like that.
And my name's Tim. I'm the person who helped you today. Would you mind, in case you wanted to say something I did right, I would appreciate it. I used to say, and if I did anything wrong, but I say, in case I did something right, my name is Tim, if you want to write that down.
Yeah.
It's how you're directing
put the thoughts in their mind of what you want them to say, instead of, making them focus on, maybe you didn't bring them their butter in time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want them to focus on that little thing that you did wrong. You want to
focus on what I did right.
Focus on the positive experience that they had. That's very smart, and I would absolutely agree with you.
Yeah. We refer to that as, okay, first of all, there's a window of reciprocity, we call it, that lasts about an hour after that. And here's the definition of, and this ties in also to what Mitch brought up earlier, which is what we call a referable moment. Mm-hmm. You can generate your own referable moment. And this, I'm going into kind of some coaching here, but you can generate your own referable moment. And I teach these guys all this. Like, you can do something over and above and generate an opportunity for you guys to have a window of reciprocity, which lasts about an hour after somebody's feeling really happy and they're going, man, Kim, I just am so happy with what you did for me in terms of like building my social media presence, and I'm everywhere. I had 10,000 impressions, and I've never had even close to that on Twitter. And then that's when you just say, okay, so you really, it would mean the world to me, because we only get our next customer based on how we treat our current customers. Yes. Would you take a second and then just leave us a positive review and let people know? And here's the key. We call it the 3W testimonial. What benefits you received, why you would recommend, who you are, what benefits you received, and why you would recommend us to others. Okay, and I have to give credit where credit's due. David Sprague, follow David, he's one of my mentors, and he helped me work through that strategy, that 3W testimonial. So in that way, you get a consistent, and this is another stat. I've given you guys a lot of stats today, but another really, really important stat to remember is that it's not so much the rating, it's what people say. Yeah. People are paying attention. They read those reviews. Think about it. When you go to that hotel or you go to that restaurant, you're not just looking at the star rating. You're reading what that appetizer was all about. You're reading what that, you know what I'm saying? You're reading what, you know, what that resort over in Florida, you know, what their amenities are like, and if they have bikes that you can rent, and all the little details. And so you want those details in there and what benefits that person received, because if you get that point across and you get them to capture that, that is a stellar review. And by the way, it only takes 10 reviews. Here's the number. Everybody asked me this. 10 reviews on a directory in order for people to have enough reviews to actually trust you and to be able to make a decision about your business. That's the magic number. There was a study done by Bright Local, and that was what they found. So just keep those numbers in mind, and it doesn't take long. I mean, shoot, everybody's got some strategic partners that they can call up that you guys are, you know, and say, hey, buddy, you know what? Could you leave me a review? And you can get 10 like that. And yeah.
And you know, some people though may not be, their business might not be driven by Yelp reviews, but yet we all get testimonials. You know, we should all take advantage of those testimonials too. And so many of us don't. So, you know, for example, you know, we're used to seeing testimonials on our websites, right? You know, we have 2 or 3 up there. But for most business owners, there's a ton of testimonials that never see the light of day. And I've yet to figure out why. And I think we're all busy. We don't take those opportunities. But guys, one of the most impactful things that I've ever done, and to speak to something that's very actionable for absolutely any business owner, is to take those opportunities, those testimonials, and, you know, create a visual piece of content, highlight that testimonial. Share it on your social platforms. You know, don't just say, you know, I'm going to put it on my website someday. Or if you are hosting a live event, or you're hosting any type of event, these events, for example, like at the end of almost every blab, people are like, oh, I love this. This is such great content. You know, that's a testimonial, guys, that anybody can leverage from across the you know, any social platform. We should be sharing those types of things. And yet so many times we don't. I'm as guilty as the next one, even though I'm telling you guys, this is a great opportunity. But one of the most impactful things for me when I when I rolled out my book was those testimonials, you know, the ones on Amazon. So I would go over to Amazon, I would pull those testimonials, you know, the reviews that people were leaving about the book, and I would make them into visual content pieces and share them on social. So don't think just because your business might not be one that needs a, you know, that's driven by, you know, the Yelp reviews or, you know, traditional brick and mortar businesses, you know, we're missing those opportunities to let people know that, you know, we have shined in some places, and and people pay attention to that those are great ways to drive additional business for us. And so many times, like I say, we just miss those opportunities.
Yep. I agree 100%. What other questions do you guys have about, I mean, because I can, and what I would recommend is like today, I mean, and here's one of the ways that you can do this, if you're on a blab, and this is something that is really pretty ninja that I have kind of come up with on my Periscopes is, and this has been so powerful. Okay. So Kim, check this out. So when I do a Periscope, and I did this very early in my Periscope life, is I would be scoping, and I got a lot of my customers on. I got a lot of my clients on board on Periscope, and because I'm helping them with live stream and stuff. And so they would get on my Periscopes, and they would leave literally a 5-star review in the comments about what benefits that I gave them. And I would screenshot that. And just like Jed had mentioned earlier, is all you have to do is take that screenshot and add it right to your website. People are going to be like, whoa, with you in front and that comment right there and a screenshot, boom, right? Yeah. Okay, so there's one. Here's another one. Right, live, like blab, like I could get my customers, I could bring them into the hot seat and say, hey, what benefits did you get? And have them leave a live recorded video testimonial in the hot seat and say, what do you think about the benefits that we got you in terms of getting you ranked on the maps? How many phone calls are you getting? Like I regularly get Greg Watson from Watson. He's the top property management company in all of New Zealand. You guys have seen him. Corey Parippi. These guys are now like rock stars for me because, you know, they're just like blabbing out and they're Periscope commenting out, you know, all the benefits that we've gotten them. And you talk about like, you know, you add that social proof marketing, that social proof there to your message in social media. And just like, you know, Kim, you had mentioned that, you know, this is the rocket fuel. Like that's another rocket fuel when not only do you combine, you know, the digital with social, but you combine the social with social proof. It's like, it's just like, you know, so those are some strategies that I want you guys to implement. And I'm going to give you, and I welcome you guys, you know, if you got some benefit today, you know, you can go and you can find, like, for example, my company, you can go to Google, type in Accelerate Marketing San Diego reviews, and you'll see my Google My Business, you know, my company page there. You can review us. And that's what, you know, like that's what we do. Whenever my team does a training, and we do trainings with hundreds of people, and we ask them at the end, hey, well, if you got some benefits, then, you know, go on over and leave a review. And so this is like, I just try to do my best to model good behavior, because ultimately I know that if you guys see me do it, then you're gonna start doing it yourself, and it can make a huge difference in your business. And that's why I was really excited about bringing you on, Kim, because I wanted to hear your take on it with social, and it's been really, really cool to hear.
Well, I think you should always walk your talk. I mean, you know, to directly to your point, you know, it's kind of always been my big thing. I don't like training or teaching people to do things that I don't do, or they can't see evidence of it in my business. So, you know, I think you're dead right on that. You know, you want to make sure that if you model good things, then you can not only speak to it from a place of authority, but you also, you know, people can just take a peek and see, hey, they're doing this, maybe I should be doing it. So it is impactful versus, you know, telling people to do something and then they're like, well, you're not doing it, why would I do it?
Right.
You know, so right. It matters, you know, to walk your talk.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan, I was wondering if I could step in and just share a tip that you showed me before. You mentioned it just a little bit earlier, but I don't think the audience just saw how easy it is. We're talking about reviews. We're talking about tips on how to get your customers to leave reviews. It's a great Periscope that you've done. I've seen it on Blab, but just get them to take their phone out and just take the phone out, open the app. You were alluding to it just a minute ago. But you have them open the app. When you open Google Maps, it already goes to your location. So if you're a business owner, they're already in your store at your location. It's right there, and they just tap there at the bottom. So if you're following along in the audience, open your location up, tap on your location, and slide up from the very bottom, and then show your customers how to do that. They slide up from the bottom, and there's the star rating right there.
That's actually a great, you know, education piece, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I didn't know that. I would be willing to bet.
That's why I wanted to show you, Kim, because Ryan showed me before, and it's an awesome tip. And
Ryan wanted to charge for that advice, but he can't now.
That was gonna be my trust trigger, Jed.
Oh man, I had to
so
share
much for that
it.
sale.
It's too good. That is too good.
I mean, people don't
They're right there
that.
in the store. They hit the bottom and slide up. Practice doing it before you get a customer in there, because I remember we had a couple people who were fumbling, but then you slide it up and boom, there's the stars. Hit the 5, and they'll hit it right in front of you. It's perfect.
Yeah, if you guys get nothing else but that tip from this one meeting, then I mean that
and I stole it.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I remembered it. I won't forget that one.
Yeah. I mean, it might have been Ryan's tip initially, but he left it off the table. So you brought it. You get credit.
That's so cool. You know, it's cool to see that you're actually like able to do it, and it's cool to finally see somebody else actually doing it. Like it's always been me or Dimitri here, like doing the training with our you know, to build the culture of our customers, and so I just think it's cool. So that's really awesome.
And I taught it at a workshop that we were doing, and people have trouble tapping the very bottom and sliding up. So you got to practice. You got to. There. I just did it there. So
maybe we should give Google some feedback on that and make it easier for us to tap. Well, you know, that makes me think of that. Like, you know, you're trying to, you know, swipe to get to the stuff on sorry, going the wrong way. But, you know, if you want to turn on your flashlight or something, right? You're like, okay, come on. You know, it kind of reminds me of that where, you know, you have to like, you know, hit it just right to make it come up.
Well, in all seriousness, like that one, so that is that handout that I was telling you about, the review handout. is basically through on one sheet of paper that process of swipe, like going, downloading the app, because let's face it, guys, only, I think we're the, most of the people out there have iPhones, and we're not. I mean, 65% of people have Androids, and the Androids come actually standard with the Google Maps application. Not surprising, because Google owns Android, and they own Google Maps. So that's what happens. So if you don't have an Android phone, or if you're encountering somebody that does, has an iPhone in your practice or in your business, then you want to take them through downloading that app first. And a lot of times that's the biggest pushback that I get is, well, not many people have that app. And so we just take them through the process. And that's what we have as our lead magnet, because it really is an important, step for people to understand is just how to get that review, what the mechanism is for people to get a review,
Yeah. Those of us who have iPhones, we're like, is there any other phone? But we do forget.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That was hard for a hard adjustment when while I've been teaching Periscope. I'm like, I got to get me an Android just so I can tell people how to do it on an Android.
Yep.
But yeah,
just tell them to get a Mac, or just tell them first thing you need to do is go to the Apple Store. Yeah, you got to really instruct them. You got to direct them on where they need to go.
I actually have an iPhone in my scope kit. Seriously, I mean, my toolbox actually has a link to an iPhone in case you don't have one. You need to get one.
That's awesome. I mean, I actually have tried. I went to the dark side for about 2 weeks, and because this was back when, I really tried to give Hangouts, a try. And to the extent that I literally went over to Android because it seemed like it was better integrated. And just because of the fact that I really wanted to be able to do live stream from my smartphone. And honest to God, 3 years ago when I saw Hangouts, I thought if I got an Android that I'd actually be able to start a live stream back then. That was and I'm just remembering that now. That was the reason why I actually got it. And I tried it for 2 weeks and I just couldn't handle it. I was like, I can't do it. I mean, it was 4 steps to do anything. And so anyway, and so now we've got things, it's kind of funny, but that's tied into what we're doing right now. Now, look at how things have changed. 3 years later, you can, on any phone, even the Android, you can now start a live stream anywhere in the world, right from the back of your pocket, with a smartphone, and it's really cool. So when you combine the power of what we've got with live stream and we kind of tie that a lot into social media, because it is, let's face it, Twitter owns Twitter owns Periscope and now Blab, which allows us to, look into each other's digital eyeballs, as Brian Fanzo says. And it's just, and then when you combine that with a well-rounded reputation, whether that's on social media or, in the digital, the directory space, which as I said earlier, the brick and mortar, that's where you want to impact that. Then you've got if you put all those things together, like we've talked about today, then you're gonna really make a big impact out there with your business. And more importantly, though, you just want to pay attention to this stuff, because as an individual, bottom line is you want to know what people are saying about you. You just can't stick your head in the sand and just pretend like this stuff isn't happening, because whether you want to or not, or whether you want the information to be out there, it's out there about your business, about you as an individual. And I just think it's prudent to pay attention to how social media and social proof marketing, work together. So
people are talking about your product or service, whether you're listening or not. You either decide to listen and join the conversation, or you're left out of the conversation. You have no impact on that conversation. So it's important to, be listening. When I say product or service, it may not be your business exactly, but there's conversations happening around, unless we have something that's totally unique that nobody else has, which is possible. But there's people looking for products and services every day. And so many businesses aren't taking advantage of even the listening capability of social media, much less the review side of social media or the customer care side of social media. It's just such an amazing opportunity. We have literally so much data at our fingertips, and that's true for any business and any business size, that, in the past has been not accessible to us. And yet, even though we have access to it, so many businesses don't take advantage of it. So it's kind of one of those things that just is, but still the opportunity's there. You just have to step into it if you want it.
Yep. And with that, we've gone a little bit over. I want to be cognizant of your time, Kim. It's been awesome, man. And I really,
fun.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I really wanted to do for a while to kind of bring you into because I know I'm learning more about your social media world, as time goes on, and I'm just learning by like bumping into things. Like last night, I was like a kid in a candy store with ads.twitter.com. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can see how many impressions I got, and like I can see it growing up and the graphs, and I'm just like,
the analytics on Twitter are really pretty amazing, and yet so many people don't even pay attention to those. So so many fun things.
Yeah.
Just lots of stuff. But thank you for having me. I've loved being a part of the conversation, and we'll do it again sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks, Tim, for popping in, and
Sure.
And Jed, it was
nice to meet you, Tim.
Yeah,
Jed, great to see you again.
Good to see you, Kim.
And
Thanks
we'll
for
have to do this again, Kim. Well, I mean, hopefully we can do another one in maybe another 2-3 months. We never gave up on this one. We tried a couple times.
Right?
And
my snafus with time zones, etc. But I appreciate that you kept after it, and it was a fun conversation.
It was. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Enjoyed, folks.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.